Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Winston Wednesday, November 16th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our next special guest today, or our very special guest today, is known as Mr. Spiritually Ratchet himself, and he's known for doing commentary on Vigo and so many things. I'm so glad to be back, you guys. I took a break, and might have I say that break has been refreshing with midterms and everything. It's been stressful. I hope you guys all have been doing wonderful. Our very special guest today is one of the close friends of mine in the YouTube circle, and I'm super excited to have him here. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Bubs to God. Make sure you share this live and head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. Let me share this live with a couple people and get them on up in here to let them know that we are live. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our very special guest, Mr. Bubs to God.
Hello. I
Hello,
was trying to get a few
welcome.
puffs in before I popped up. I didn't want to smoke on your live, but go ahead.
Take your time. Welcome to the dollhouse. How are
Thank you for
you?
inviting me. I'm tired, but above all things, I'm good. I'm good.
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
So, before we kick off this interview, because we've been conversating back and
hmm
forth, how has your 2022 been so far? Because I know it's been draining mentally with everything that's been going on from the midterms, as I mentioned in the beginning, and
hmm
everything. How has 2022 been for you so far?
It's been, I want to say, very informative and I don't know if this is a real word, but it feels good in my spirit. Very revelational. I don't know if that's a real word, but it just feels good. For me, I've been spending 2022 kind of really finding out who Bubs the God is, strengthening that
Mm,
foundation, and now really just living through faith and actually applying what it is that I've learned, all the information and knowledge that I know to myself so that I can end up being a better um, conduit for conversations, a better conduit for love in the world. So I'm starting with me first. So this is kind of what 2020 has been like for me. Very informational, informational. Mm-hmm.
and it's all about balance. I had Scotty by Nature on the show a few days back, and he was talking about how mentally and draining it can be for us as content
Yes,
creators to have to keep putting out content with everything that's going on in the world.
yes,
We have to check and make sure that we are taking care of ourselves first. So
exactly.
self care is imperative. So how have you been balancing that out with everything that's going on? And you cover a number of topics which I
Oh,
love,
thanks, man.
which we'll get
Most
into
definitely.
throughout this interview.
Mm-hmm.
But mentally, how have you been finding that balance? You know, with everything that's going
Mm-hmm.
on, midterm election, politics, and all of these things, that homophobia,
Right.
all of these things you got to tackle on a day-to-day basis, and mentally you have to make sure that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you find that balance?
Um, I'm learning, especially in this place that I'm in now, to kind of be by myself and to be a little bit isolated with myself. I know a lot of people are afraid to be alone. They have to be around other people because of their own thoughts. Um, and disengaging, like you mentioned before we started, how you had to take a break to kind of just refresh. Sometimes it's good to just back away from everything, to disengage. It doesn't mean that you don't love your supporters. It doesn't mean that you don't love what you do. It just means that you love yourself enough to make sure that you are good so that you can continue to do that. So I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of meditating, and a lot of questioning of certain things, but also reminding myself that I have everything that I need. I came to this world by myself. I'm going to leave by myself. That is more than enough. So, really trying to find out who you are. And a wise person once said that the hardest thing for us to do is to remind ourselves and to live out that we're whole in a world that doesn't affirm that. So, it's like you have to make sure you figure that out for yourself. So, those are just some of the few things that I've been doing to kind of keep myself, recalibrated and balanced.
Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to the meat and
Yes.
potatoes because you cover a number of things
Mm-hmm.
on your channel, on your
Right.
platform. You talked about Lance
Mm-hmm.
Bird, Boopsy. These are a number of things that I would talk about on my channel as well
Awesome.
too.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
homophobia and transphobia. Then you created a new segment with Aaron Wild
Yeah.
South as well too, on the Beagle. And I kind of do commentary. I said, why isn't there anyone who doesn't do commentary
Mm,
on the things that go on Omegle, you're also on Beagle as well too.
Yeah.
And I was on there, but I left. I said, "Oh my God, this is too much. Y'all sharing people's personal info
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. That's off here." So you cover a number of things, and I just want to say, Bubs, thank you for being the point of view for me as a trans Black
Mm,
woman of color. Because there are certain things that I can't say that you can.
mm,
Well, I can say them, but if I say them, people will dismiss
right,
it or they will gaslight my
right,
experience. And I'm just like, wow, this is what I wanted to say, but to hear from a Black man and hear his perspective is crazy. So why do you think in the Black LGBTQ plus community,
mm,
and when it comes to see there's an issue with colorism that is now stemming up as well too, as well as homophobia and transphobia within our community,
mm,
why do you think there's such a divide? Because I just had a conversation with my girlfriend who is an ally not too long
okay,
ago. And she said, "Girl, why do you think it's such a divide within, your community,
mm-hmm,
LGBT? Why is it like this division of, no fats, no femmes? We
mm.
know all of these terminologies. Why do you think there's like a division between everyone?"
I think there's a division because unfortunately, a lot of us are hurt people, and instead of learning how to
Yeah,
heal, we hurt other people. So it's like this downward spiral, and it's so crazy because it's like there's so many things outside of the community that is tearing us down, as opposed to uniting. Here we are tearing each other down. But I think the reason why is because I feel like there is a control or a sense of power that they want to have. There has to be somebody underneath them in order for them to feel taller. So, like you were mentioning, me as a cisgendered, same gender loving man, I might have more privilege than a feminine gay man or a trans woman. But I try to use the privilege that I have in order to speak light to that. Because once again, there are other people. I know what opposition and oppression looks like and what it feels like. Um, again, with self love, it helps me to not be so attached to it to where now I have to demonize this person or demonize that person in order for me to feel good about myself. So I try to use my privilege in areas and in spaces and in ways to help uplift each other. You never look down on anybody else unless you're helping to lift them up. Point blank, period.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And we talked about homophobia. You've done some commentary on Lance Skirv and Boosie, and I'm just like, wow. And I've watched all the other content creators. Shout outs to them. Scotty has given his opinion. TTV has given his opinion. And the way that you guys do it, it's like, wow, everybody understands me within my community, and we're all on the same page here when it comes to homophobia. I remember when the BET Awards happened, and Lil Nas X did this and that, and it was such a controversy. But to see people within our community rally behind Lil Nas X, I'm like, this is what it needs to be all the time. And not just
Exactly.
for one of us as trans Black women being murdered. We have to rally
Exactly.
together, all together
Exactly.
around the board. And what I'm seeing on Bigo is just like, wow, it's colorism within our community as well too.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I've never really, well, I've kind of touched on this briefly on my platform,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm being transparent for my new viewers
Most
here that
definitely.
are coming. Um, you can clearly see that I'm not the lightest girl in the room. And I was watching an interview with Kenya Moore this morning. You guys are familiar with Kenya Housewives
Mm-hmm.
and things. She said when she at the time when she was going for Miss USA, there wasn't really many girls that looked like
Exactly.
myself or her competing in those type of competitions. This happened in 1993 when she was crowned Miss
Mm-hmm.
USA. And colorism is still a thing. To back then in the 90s, we would just call it, oh, light skin versus dark
Yeah.
skin, but now there is a term
Yeah.
for it.
Identify it.
So Alice Walker, who's written The Color Purple, she came up with that terminology and it's
Mm.
called colorism.
Mm.
So why do you think there is colorism within the LGBTQ community within
I
us?
think again, just like outside community in the heterosexual in the black community, it's one of the extensions of racism. If people do their research and do their history, they'll remember something called the Willie Lynch letter. And in that letter it was a slave owner trying to tell other slave owners how to keep their slaves in line and intact. And one of those elements was you keep the lighter skinned slaves in the house and the darker skinned slaves in the field. So there's this level of division of, oh, I feel better. Once again, that privilege being given. So you even have people who during the civil rights movement who used their fairer skin to pass as white so that they wouldn't have to deal with the black experience. I think the colorism just deals with the systematic viewpoint of how black people are looked upon, especially darker skinned people. They're looked upon as dirty, nasty, ugly, degenerative, destructive, demonic, all these things. And again, it's just a tool to use to have a opposition or oppression over somebody else. So I hope I answered your question. Hope I answered the question.
No, you said it
Ah,
right.
okay.
You said it right.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I had a conversation with T.S. Kendra.
Hmm.
You guys are familiar with Kendra
Yes. What's
from
gooey?
Chase the
What's
Sun.
gooey?
Yes, that's my girl. And Wayne, and this was back in 2021. We had a whole, it was like a 4-hour discussion, and we
Mm.
talked on comedy. And I asked her one question. I said, why do you think that people portray you the way that they portray you in a certain light? And she said, people feel as though I'm all of these things. She went into a number of
Hmm.
things. You guys can go back and check that interview out of this. But she touched on it beautifully. And I said, I can relate to
Yeah.
you because I too have been told I'm not desirable.
Mm.
And we get into this thing of hypersexuality because I noticed that there is a lot of that within our
Yes.
community as
Yes.
well. It
Yes.
goes back to
Yes.
no fats, no
Hmm.
films. But I'm thankful for the likes of so many of these social media influencers that are all about body positivity
Yes.
and saying, okay, um, I don't have to be a size 4 or a size 0 to be attracted. It Beauty doesn't matter. We're now in
Right.
2022. And me working in the fashion industry, I've been told, okay, this is what beautiful is.
Mm.
Looking through fashion magazines,
Right.
because I'm a fashion girl, as you guys can tell.
Mm.
I've been told that you have to fit this specific size caliber. You have to
Right.
have this specific hair type.
Right.
And it's not only in the cishet community, but it's within the black
Oh
LGBTQ
yes. Oh
community
yes.
too. And I'm seeing it on Bigo, and I'm just like, my God. Some of the trans girls are like, okay, who's more passable? Who's more passable?
Yeah. 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 It goes back to finding a way to be desirable in the system. I I don't want
Desirability.
to be like those people. I don't want to be like that. Um, it's again, I feel like it's hurting people. That's why I'm grateful for individuals like yourself that try to spread more awareness about what's happening in the community in a positive way to uplift and inspire as opposed to tearing each other down. And it seems like that's the easiest thing to do is to just tear people down. But then when it's your turn, then all of a sudden, woe is me. It's like, no, we have to treat people the way that we want to be treated. So, and it really starts with us. It really starts with us. And I think a lot of us wait for other people to do it. And it's like, no, you have to remind yourself how powerful you are, how worthy you are, and that there are people in the world, despite all these other people that might look and say, oh, well, this is what beauty looks like, and you're not that. There are, in the words of Miss Pearly from Friday After Next, shut up, bitch. I know somebody like it. That's it. There are people in the world who like that. And I feel like if we learn to love ourselves and to give ourselves patience and mercy through all of the versions of ourselves, even the one that we're struggling with now to the one that we want to be, there are people, situations, circumstances already aligned that will help guide you to that point. It's about if you want to get there or not. So, and I think a lot of us don't, a lot of us just simply don't know how to. We simply just don't know how to heal, how to be vulnerable, how to be honest with our feelings without it being demonized. For example, like with black men, it seemed like the only expression that black men only seem to have that's valued is lower vibrational energy, anger, violence, rage, and that's okay, which is why I feel like a lot of our black brothers in the community, outside the community, gay, straight, just in
Yeah,
general, it's easy for them to do that. Matter of fact, let's take it to LGBT, like these reality shows. It seemed like a lot of these reality shows have the same concept. Who can shade the best? Who can read the best? Who can do all this? And it's kind of like, okay, what about your actual lives? Because now
yeah,
you're putting on a show and it seems like that's being rewarded. You're being rewarded for these low vibrational feelings. So, and it's crazy because when you have individuals like yourself, like me, like social Joseph Williams, a misunderstood social worker, Hope Giselle,
yeah.
CTV, T.S. Madison, you have people that try to give a different narrative that is fruitful and life giving. And it's hard for people to really feel that and identify with that because, like I said, maybe we just don't know. But that's why it's important for us to share our stories, because the more that we share our stories, regardless of who you are, the closer we're able to connect with each other and realize that we're human beings. Therefore, those lines of division are now being erased. So it takes us. It takes us to do it.
I'm gonna give a couple shout outs. Shout outs to Jay Evans.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing a music panel, you guys. So
Ooh.
make sure you guys for that. Me, Jay Evans, and my brother K Tooks, head on over and subscribe to their channels. And we have a very special surprise for you guys. You've already seen the announcement, but I'll announce it at the end of this interview. Who's coming on with me Friday at 3? We're going to give you some holiday gift ideas.
Ooh.
And also shout outs to Aaron Wiles out who
Yes,
says
broski.
hello.
What's up?
So you said something that stood out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to bring, with us in the LGBT community, it's like who can read the
Yeah.
most, and it's like you asked the question because I watched you and Aaron's commentary on
Thank
the
you.
dark read
Yes,
romance,
thank you.
and it goes back to that what you just said, where it's like who can go below the belt,
Yeah.
below the gut the most,
Yeah.
and who can hurt
Yeah.
somebody. You will never hear about Miss Stevie in any of on
Mm-hmm.
TTV or nothing. I haven't gotten into any beefs with anybody because I'm not, like
Exactly.
above Aaron or CTV or any of those facts. But I'm on my way there. But I try to keep out of that.
Right.
But it's like I'm watching on these other platforms, and it's like everybody can try to tear each other
Yeah.
down and go below the
Yeah.
belt. And I'm just like, guys, words can hurt.
Yes.
Words are like sword,
Yes.
and they cut deep. And at the end of the day, it's just like when you log off, when you turn that phone off and you log off, and you're sitting there and you're rethinking about what someone has told you, that hurts mentally. It's mentally got to be doing something to you.
Exactly. 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 And first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. These are the conversations that I really cherish and I really, really want to have, because these are the ones that's transformative. Like, again, it's easy to play all that banter stuff while you on the live when the red light is on.
Yeah.
But like you said, once it's off and reality sit in, not the narrative that you get to control and all this other type of stuff, but sure, real objective reality that you're trying to figure out your own self. That's the pain. That's the place that I feel inspires a lot of people to get online and just spit vitriolic hate and go below the belt and do all this stuff because of what's going on personally within themselves. And we're not having we're having them now, and I'm grateful that there's more of an awareness of that. But we need more of those conversations, especially in those areas where it seems like love ain't over there, common sense ain't over there, nothing fruitful and life giving is over there. Yes, it is. It's about, do you have the willingness to see it? So, like with me and Aaron doing Bigo News, instead of us getting up there and just doing what they're doing over on YouTube, we're trying to look at it in a different way and kind of like, okay, how do we understand this so we can understand each other why this is happening? So you can always take something shady or something messy, and if you know how to, and transmute it into something better. Trust me, everything is transmutable. It's only if you believe it.
I'm going to read what my paternal says. Negative people can't relate to positive vibration. That's why those shows work. And Aaron says it's very young if you let it get to
Yeah.
you. Like some people, and I say this in the back of my mind on Bigo, you have to have an elastic heart to be on there, a very thick skin. Yeah. I've met some incredible people. I didn't get into any of the reading panels or any of that. I've just created bonds, and people would come to my room and just have conversation with me. They're just like, wow, you're so beautiful. You're positive. And I'm like, I want to keep it that way. The same energy that you get online is the same that you will get offline. And I have people that vouch for that. I never get involved in those reading panels. And my thing is like, wow, you guys really tear each other down. And I know when you log off, there's got to be some tears burning in your eyes somewhere. There's got to be some sort of pain you're feeling, because some of these reads with the relatives, and I'm like, oh my God, it's too dark.
That's what they're pulling out, like you said, when the red light goes off and you're in your own reality, they're learning how to tap into that. So they're bringing what you want to keep off online. So that's easier for them to say, oh, well, that's why your mama did and your daddy did, and your daddy down there cooking with Satan, just all type of just crazy stuff, as opposed to just being creative. And I mean, if you gonna read me how I look, read keep it on this, you know what I mean? As opposed to having to go so dark. But once again, it's I call the internet, it's like internet is public transportation. You don't know who gonna get on this thing. It's so many different people, and we have to remind ourselves that these same people who are online are these people are offline too. So that energy is affecting us both on and offline. So we have to be very aware of that, which again is why I feel healing conversations are important. And just like you said on Bigo, there are reading panels which seem to be more popular, get more views, is more rewarded, all that handsomely. But then you also have that side where there are people that are just genuinely connecting, trying to find a sense of community, uplifting and encouraging each other. And we need that balance because as shit continues to hit the fan, more people are going to start coming that way because a lot of their identity that they're trying to portray online is going to be broken. Like, for example, with the reality stars, I feel like a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them get on these shows for a sense of validation, affirm me. And they already have this certain blueprint that they're trying to follow. But then when the reality hits and shows that that's false, they can't handle that because they think that, oh, if I can be unreadable, if I can be unclockable, if I can be all these things, then I'm exempt from all the shit that everybody else has to go through. No, 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 no. Baby, if it's one thing that God is not, he is not a respecter of person. Okay? Don't matter who you are. So it's a lot. It's a lot. We got a lot of work to do, but I'm enjoying the work. I'm enjoying the work.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met some great people on there and formed some great relationships with them outside of it. And I'm liking their stuff, supporting their business. I'm all about supporting the next person's hustle and what they're doing. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
mental health, because you talked about that on your
Yes.
channel as well too. It's a thing that is so taboo. We don't really talk enough about it within the Black
Yeah.
LGBTQ community or the Black collective as a
Yeah.
whole. And I've heard CTV talk about it on his channel
Mm-hmm.
as well too. Shout out
Yeah.
to
Shout out to him.
CTV as well too. Talked about mental health and how we have to protect our energy. And you mentioned in the beginning of the interview meditation and how
Yes.
important that is.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to people within our community who are suffering on the inside, who don't know how to express that? Because the Black community, for so long, it goes back to that, like you said, that slave
Mm-hmm.
mentality of what goes on in this
Stays
house
in the
stays
house.
in this
Yeah.
house. We keep it behind these walls and don't talk about it. We're going to sweep it up under the rug.
Right.
What advice would you give to someone who is a member of the
Mm-hmm.
community or is an ally and they're struggling with mental health and opening up and finding clarity and peace? Hey, girl.
Um, the first thing that I would suggest to them is that it's okay to admit that you're not okay. First of all, like they say, in order to really move forward, you have to acknowledge where you are right now. That's the only way for you to move forward. So it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to get help because there are people in the world who are trained, people who are angels in your life. You're covered in so many ways in love. It's about you having the willingness to actually experience it. Um, I would probably say that. Another thing that I would probably say is to look up ways like YouTube is the internet. It's the information age. Whatever you want to know, whatever you want to receive, you can get that. Learn different affirmations to affirm to yourself and start doing those every day, even if it's for like 20 seconds in the mirror. I love me. I love me. Keep doing that. You may not believe it in the beginning, but if you continue to be consistent, you're going to build what is known as a habit. And we are all formed by our habits. You know what I'm saying? But you're building a new one to be able to inspire you and to remind yourself that you are worthy because and from my own personal experience, I've had people around me for the biggest part of my life telling me I'm loved and all this other type of stuff, but I simply didn't believe it. And because I didn't believe it, it didn't matter. So you really are worthy. You really do have the power to change your life, but it starts with you. You have to acknowledge you first before anything else can change. So make it about you. More of the story, make it about you. Make the healing about you. Make the awareness about you. Make the love about you because you are worth it. And you can struggle, but it don't mean you're gonna be struggling forever. Everything is temporary, even struggle, even struggle.
Absolutely. Okay, which brings me to the next part of the conversation. We're jumping all around going because Bubs has covered a number of things on his
I'm all over the
channel. My
place.
girl Angela. Miss TJ Sauce, who's going to be on the women's panel with me next month, December 10th, is going to be 6 women, myself
Okay.
included. It's going to be girl talk, and we're going to talk a number of things
Mm-hmm.
from the Black woman's perspective.
Right.
And she wants to know, she says her son is suffering and he's hiding his truth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with this because when I
Mm-hmm.
first met you, Bubs, I said, oh my God, I watched the powerful conversation that you had telling your coming out story with your
Yeah.
parents, and you
Yeah.
asked your parents how you felt. And I remember it was on a Sunday and you did the live. I said, oh,
Yeah.
this is powerful. Let me
Thank you.
tune in and watch this. So
Mm-hmm.
telling your story, because it's difficult coming out to your
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And instantly we see at a young age, children are already discovering, that something is off and different about themselves.
Right.
And also, in order to heal, you have to recognize the root of the issue. Exactly.
Yes.
So to touch on that, Bubs, what Angela said,
Um. Oh,
someone
go.
who's suffering on the
Mm-hmm.
inside with coming out.
Um. If you know and have a feeling of that situation or that struggle that's within him, the only thing I can suggest is to just love them through it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for people to come out and be, because when you come out, you're dealing with the awareness of how the world could possibly treat you, and that's very terrifying. So of course, in a scary world, you will want to have some people you would think that your family or close, loved one, relatives would be those people that you can connect to. But there's a lot of fear there because now, if they come out, there's a possibility that my family could disown me. Religious institutions that I'm a part of, not me, but just the Black experience has been a part of, will disown me. And on top of that, you're telling me that God disowns me too. That's very hard for someone to really accept. So knowing that that's happening in the world, I will only just say to love them and to educate yourself. Realize that you need to educate yourself, because as a parent, of an LGBT child or a family member of an LGBT child, you have to know what's going on in the community so that you can be aware, and also be willing to be more open-minded yourself and to challenge your own thought processes and patterns. Because if you say you love this person, you have to act it out, and sometimes you're going to be challenged in that way to love somebody,
Yeah.
because it's not going to be easy. But it's about, do you have the willingness, through the love, through the patience, through the forgiveness, through the confusion, through whatever you may be feeling, is the love strong enough? And I'm telling you, love will transform. And that's why I was able to have conversations like that with my parents live, because at one point in time, it wasn't like that. But do you see how love transformed? So all I'm gonna
Mm.
say is just love them and educate yourself. Those are the two things that I could probably suggest.
And to add on to that, I feel like that's the conversation with young Zaya Wade of people wanting Dwayne Wade. T.S. Madison said it. People basically wanting Dwayne Wade to give up on his daughter.
Right.
And the mom is coming out, and there were reports that she misgendered Zaya. I'm just like, and for those of you who don't know, this woman has studied Christian
Mm,
studies,
mm,
went to school. For those of you who don't know.
mm,
So you know where I'm going. I'm not going to dive too deep into the deep end because Bubs has covered it on the
mm.
channel, but I'm going to say that this thing is going to keep us oppressed if we don't get rid of it. This system is keeping us as people who are walking freely in our truth. It's going to keep us
Yeah.
oppressed for another 400 years.
Yeah.
So I need people to wake up and realize that parents are now becoming more accepting to their
Yeah.
daughters
Yeah.
and sons who are
Yeah.
trans. Be open minded and just listen to them. I had the conversation with my mom and I just broke down crying. It was not too long ago. My
Mm,
mom says, do you sometimes feel, different things? And I said, yeah,
mm.
I feel. So have the
Yes.
conversation with your parents.
Yes.
So I was touched when I seen Bubs have the conversation with his parents. And a lot of LGBT children do not have that luxury. We've seen it with the 14-year-old baby Tyler
Mm,
with his family. And I don't even have to go into the details of it, but you guys, if you know, you know. Jay Evans says that's so true. Someone loving you makes it easier. Love and acceptance is
yeah.
key, not disowning your child. And we've seen that with Angela Stanton disowning her
Mm,
daughter so many things. We've seen it play out before our very eyes. That's what Black people are in our community are used to, is seeing someone of the LGBT being put out or disowned by their
Right.
family. And that's not the case. We're in 2022.
Right.
It's about having an open mind and acceptance.
Yes. 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 I you hit the nail on the head with that one. You hit the nail on the head with that one. That's absolutely true. But that's why these, like what you're doing, is so important, and other people are doing it is so important. Again, we're choosing because yes, there is a huge possibility that we will continue to be oppressed for another 400 years and plus some if we allow it to happen. Because a lot of times we play into it unknowingly because again, we as Black people, and also too, make sure y'all come through at 8:30 tonight on my YouTube channel because we're gonna be talking about this a little bit more. I'm gonna give y'all visuals, everything, to kind of break it down. Like you said, as far as the system is concerned, you have a group of people who are ripped away from their heritage, demonized if they were to talk about it or to be in contact with it, given a false identity. Then when these people were free, there was another form of slavery, which was the mass incarceration and the prison system that was created to destroy Black families, to continue to do what they plan to do with us. But now we have all this information and awareness. Now we can make the change. We can make, and we have to do something different this time because we've had people in the past who were leaders and everything that pushed for change, and look what happened to them. Look what happened to them. They took them out. We have to realize the leaders in all of us. And at the same time, once we love ourselves, we can start connecting with other people because I'm learning that there are so many different intersections of Blackness, like Afro-Latino. There's that. Afro-Chinese. Like there's so many elements of Blackness that I feel like us as Black people need to listen to so that we can connect. There are so many oppressed people. Imagine if the oppressed people came together. Imagine if we learned. That's why I talk so much, and I'm applying to myself every single day through the failures, whatever, to love myself in all the versions. Because in order for me to see the bigger picture, I got to include myself in it. And if I don't include myself in it, it's going to be impossible for me to see it. But once you include yourself, you start to see the similarities that we all have and not focus on the differences. The differences might be there for, unique expression, but to connect on what is similar. And if people pay attention and really work through the pain, the hurt, and see the bigger picture, that we're, like you said, we're all oppressed. We're all oppressed. So what are we going to do about it? That's the question. What are we as the oppressed people going to do about it? And it starts with us first. We got to figure that out. And these conversations, I'm so grateful that, that's being had, are helping us to discover what that is. So continue to keep doing that.
Absolutely. Alan Yankee just asked a powerful question. He said, when I came out to my mom, I asked the question, do you want a gay son or one that's passed on? That's powerful. And parents have to consider that. Sit down. There's the resources out here to educate yourself.
Yes.
And Dwayne Wade's ex-wife, you have the resources. Educate yourself on your daughter and her experience, and that will get you closer to her. You have an open opportunity. My girl Angela, Miss TJ Sauce, make sure you guys go and follow her. She says, thank you, Bubs. And this is what we're needing because the holidays next week. Now, I know a lot of us are going to be chowing down on stuffing and turkey and all of these things, but these things go on throughout the holidays. There are LGBT children without a family. And that's where the ballroom culture ties in. I know everybody's seen shows like Pose and House Mother and things. Within our community, if we didn't have families, that would be like our family. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the outlets and resources that we have for LGBT people who do not have families or friends, they could call them. Their family disowns them because they're gay or they're living and walking and breathing and existing in their truth as trans. So we have to learn to love and accept and appreciate.
Yes. And keep living. Keep living, because like I said, there are, just like you mentioned with the ballroom community and the ballroom families, there are people in the world that you don't even know yet. That as soon as you speak your name gonna run all up and through their being. that are going to want to make sure that you are okay. Just keep living and keep moving forward. And that just shows how us as Black people, despite the intersections, how we know how to survive. If it's one thing Black people are going to do is we're going to survive because we've been surviving. You know what I mean? So there are everything that I'm saying, I feel like it really can't do any justice, even though sometimes I'd be like, I hope I'm making sense. But it's really through the experience. Nothing beats experience. So apply it to yourself and see and test it for yourself. That's the only way you're gonna learn. You're gonna know for real is if you test it. And I guarantee you, if you do, it will be so different. It will be so different. Mm.
All right, Fashion Dolls, do we have any questions for myself above before we get into our games and we conclude? This is such a great convo. So we're going to do something called, wait, before we jump into our game.
Okay.
Yes, bonus families are great to fill the shoes of those without one. Absolutely. And especially during the holidays, like I know it's the middle of this pandemic. We're like still halfway in the middle of this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not going away no time soon. There are still people without here who don't have
Right.
families. Because they're choosing to live and walk in their truth. I would rather live in my truth than live a
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
I would much rather choose to live in my truth than to live a
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you live in that lie, you got to cover up this one, to cover up this one, and this one.
Remember
You
the
got to
last
hide
lie?
and yeah,
All that.
and sneak and things. And I'm just like, no, I want to be bold. I want to walk in who I am. And it's
Right.
Trans Awareness Week. So celebrating all the amazing trans women like T.S. Madison, Laverne
Hope
Cox,
Giselle. Yeah.
myself, my side,
Mm.
Hope Giselle,
Mm.
my mentor, Miss Melody, all of these amazing women who have been the blueprint for myself.
Right.
So live, walk, and breathe and exist in your truth
Yes.
and be free and comfortable with who you are. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yep.
All right. All right, Fashion Dolls, it is time for our games here with our guest
Oh
Bubs. And the
Lord.
first one is called the rapid fire. Bubs has to tell us 5 things he can't live without.
Okay.
And it can be your favorite football team, it can be your favorite singer, your favorite reality show, whatever you like. And then the next one, we're going to turn the tables here. And this is where my guests get to ask me questions from my new viewers out there
Okay.
to know about the hostess, Miss Stevie. So if
Okay.
you don't know about passions, goals, whatever it is, favorite designer you want to know, let's
Okay.
get into it.
Let's
So
get
we're
it.
going to start
Let's
off
get it.
with rapid fire.
I can't live without. Can't live without YouTube. YouTube is life. YouTube that'll be hard. I can't live without reading. I like reading to the point to where whenever I watch anything, I have to have closed captions. I can't live without. I can't live without water. Water is my best friend. Okay, my whole throat become a power bottle when I be drinking water. Just take all of it. Just disregard it. So that I can't live, even though I can, but I'm just gonna include it. I can't live without weed. Weed has been very paramount and imperative in my spiritual transformation and where I'm going because I feel like things can happen with that. And last but not least, I can't live without self love. I can't live without loving myself. I have to love myself. I know what it feels like to not love yourself, and I damn near didn't survive that. So now that I know, I need that. So those would be my 5 things. Awesome.
All right. Wait a minute. Lady J has a
Yes.
question. What can be done if people want to be done to prevent this? There are people who fully transition and they want to go back because they regret it. Particularly in cases with children
Mm-hmm.
wanting to transition. Okay. T.S. Madison touched on
Mm-hmm.
this, and I'm gonna touch on it as well too. You have to be at least 18 years old
Right.
to transition. Zaya's too young. So before, let's clear that rumor up as well too, because there are people out here like Bootsy. When Bootsy got up there and spewed all of this
Mm-hmm.
transphobia
Mm-hmm.
in our own with our eyes, the world has
Yeah.
seen it. No, she's simply saying, acknowledge my
Right.
pronouns.
Right.
I'm here. I'm walking. I'm breathing. I'm existing. That's all she's simply saying. She's not trying to transition. She just saying, embrace me, embrace my pronouns. That's all.
Exactly.
But you got to be at least 18 years old. And it's a psychological thing. You have to make sure that you are in that
Yeah.
mind state. T.S. Matt, you have to make sure that you are ready. This is something that you want to do because once you do it, there's no coming back.
Right. Right. And they also have I mean, they have doctors and therapists, and there are certain requirements and criteria that's needed in order for these things to happen. So, it, all the questions that people might have, trust me, these doctors and they know what's going on. So, I'll probably just say again, just educate yourself. If you don't know, Google is your best friend. Go out there and listen to other people's experiences and stories. I mean, the information is all right there. It's about, do you want to believe the information to be true? So,
Absolutely.
mhm.
Use the resource. Hormones, that goes for hormones as well. So you got to be 18.
Yeah,
Live, walk, breathe, and exist in your truth and acknowledge people's pronouns. Right. So if they take hormones, they might not develop properly. Yeah, you have to make sure that you're there psychologically if you're wanting to fully transition. If you're wanting to fully transition, you have to make sure that you're
right,
there. And like Bub says, there's doctors, there's resources, there's information out there. You take the time and you sit and you talk with your child and a doctor, and you understand that
right,
this is what you're going to do.
right.
You want to fully transition. And more importantly, to the parents out there who are watching this interview, support your
Yeah,
child no matter what. That's key and that's imperative. Your child needs love and support unconditionally.
yes, yes, yes.
Whatever decision they make, to go back or to fully transition, is their choice. We have to love them and support them no matter what.
Boom.
I don't have. I don't have kids. I'm only 29 years old.
Mm.
I'm Auntie Stevie. I don't mind being Auntie.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yes. All right, Fashion Doll. So let's get into the turntables. And for those of you who don't know a little bit about me, you kind of get to know a little bit about me through this questioning. So Bubs is going to ask me some questions here, and I can ask as many as he wants. So I don't know what he's going to ask, but
Okay.
take it away.
Let's see. Let's see. Let me put on the panel hat, interview question type of thing real quick. Let me see. Um, if you don't mind sharing, and if you have mind sharing again, what do you
Okay.
think was one of the toughest, I guess, experiences in your life when it comes to your trans experience? What was one of, if not, again, if you feel comfortable, I just like, that's how I like hearing how people overcome things, because that's the inspirational part. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people stuck in the hard part and they need to get to that part. But how did you, like, what were one of those difficult or the most difficult moments in your trans experience for you?
I would have to say I wasn't mentally there. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Mm,
It all started at 13 years old, and we at a young age we discovered that something is off about us. Because my mom, when I came out to my mom, I asked her, well, I said, okay, what's wrong with me? And we all think that something is wrong with us. But no, it's perfectly natural to have an attraction to the same sex or opposite sex, whatever, it's human nature. So my mom just came out, and we know how moms are. Moms know everything. She just asked me, she said, do you like men? I said, absolutely, yes. And she said, I'm not going to love you any less you're my child. I brought you into this world. So at first I wasn't accepting of myself, but then as I got in my high school years, I understood what it was. I did my research, I did the homework, and I fully came to terms with who I was, because at one point I was androgynous. I had short Grace Jones buzz cut, and I'll post that picture if you guys are following me. I've had so many looks, from red to blonde to black to short. I'm always changing up. I'm a chameleon. I'm not a, I don't like to stay the same. But yeah, at that point in my life, I was androgynous, and I said, let's go all the way with it. I'm not happy. Let's go all the way with it. Be bold about it. You've graduated, you've accomplished everything you need to do. You kept a decent grade average. Your mom is supporting of you, your family is supporting of you. Go for it all the way. And that's when I decided right there.
okay, awesome, awesome. So, let me see. What can I ask? Hmm. I'm over here high, so my mind is racing with questions. I'm trying to pick
You're
one
good.
to choose. Let's see. How has Oh Lord, I feel like I'm actually not getting up all up in your business with us. How has your experiences with dating been like? How has that experience been like?
Well, it's been excellent. I get compliments, and the key thing is, sexuality. It boils down to desirability at the end of the day. And I'm open to dating. I have been dating, but it's nothing big. It's nothing special. But the responses from men, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And it's before and after. You're a beautiful person, beautiful spirit, beautiful soul, and that makes me happy to know that someone thinks of you as this. Because before I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I did not see it at all. But if a man slides in my DM, he says, "Okay, I love you. I appreciate your transness," because we're seeing it where black cis men and black men in general are starting to be, well, it's been there, trans attracted. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't make you less than a man. It doesn't make you gay. If that's the bare rumor. Or if you date a trans woman, no, it doesn't. So let's debunk that. Um, yes, the responses from men, the love and support, the admiration, I love it all. I love it so much.
And that's why I'm grateful. Like that's why I love asking questions and connecting with other people, because the reason why I ask those questions is because from what I've heard and even some of the conversations with a few of the trans women in my life, that I know personally, um, their experiences were a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like, um, some were saying that it was harder for them to date as a trans woman because, the
It
fear
is.
of, you know,
Yeah,
you're liking this dude, you feeling this dude, everything is just, the energy is there, but it's like to tell the full truth of what your experience is, there's
yeah,
always a fear there. And she's told me that there are some men who are cool with it, but only see it now as a sexual thing. Like, oh, now it's a fetish. Like, oh, now I
yeah.
just want you for this.
Been there.
And God forbid for them, if the truth comes out, now it becomes a violent thing to where they possibly lose their life.
Yeah,
So to hear
yeah,
that your experience was different, we need to hear that, to be like, no, it ain't just the horrible stuff that's happening. And may they rest in power. Unfortunately, what happened to them, but
yes.
there are trans experience in the world that's being validated, that's being loved, that's being appreciated, and you get to decide how you want to do it. Because, like T.S. Madison said, I have TS right there. I ain't had nothing, and the men still want me, and the money still flowing, and the blessings still flowing. But it just keep living, and then be what you want to be in the world, and people are out there doing it. So when I'm asking these questions, I just like it because I feel like those are bigger picture questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? What else? What has your experience been like, um, finding the balance between your trans experience and your relationship with God? What has that been like?
It's been challenging. And of course, I'm from South Carolina, so we know that that's the South, deep down in the South. If you're in the South, you know. We know about the church. And I don't have to dive too deep into that. But I'm like, am I going to hell? When I was younger, I would ask myself that, like, am I going to hell? And then as I got older, like in my teens, my mom says, God will love you regardless. My grandmother even says, "You're my baby, you're my grandbaby, and I will love you and appreciate you." And I'm so thankful that I have this outpouring of unconditional support from my family and friends, and they get it. Some don't, because I haven't had the conversation with them yet and broke it down and explained it to them. They won't get it,
Right.
but I can keep trying. And to anybody out there who hasn't had the conversation with their family members, sit them down and talk to them. Get them to get a better understanding of you and the way you choose to walk
Right.
in your truth
Right.
and who you are. It's not easy. It's not.
So,
My mom still to this day didn't get it, but yeah,
so,
it's been.
oh no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You finish. You finish. Finish what you were saying. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it definitely has been a balance, because as an LGBT person growing up, gay or trans, you already know, if you grew up in the South, the heart of the Bible Belt,
Mm.
and I mean Bible. Oh, you're going to hell for doing this. You're going to hell for wearing red lipstick. You're going to hell for wearing red nails. And I said, well, oh, well, honey, I guess I'll be going to
Okay.
hell,
And on top of that,
because
I'm
if
gonna
you
see
see
your
me
ass
that
there
red,
too.
yeah,
Since we playing games, I'm gonna
right.
see you there too. I ain't gonna be the only one.
Yeah, my mom. My mom is a Christian woman, but she doesn't use the Bible to beat me down. She uses the Bible to encourage me. Like in
Right.
Philippians 4:13, I believe in all things in Christ Jesus who strengthens me. That's one of my favorite scriptures. She uses it to empower me.
Yes. 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 All things.
She doesn't use it to beat me down. And that's the thing. We have to use religion for the positive and not the negative. Oh, you're going to hell for doing this. But there have been some times when I have worn some dresses on this platform and my mom has seen the dresses. And my mom was like, oh my God, girl, you need to cover up some. So I'm like, well, I'm comfortable. And I'm going to speak briefly on this
Hmm.
because you guys are getting transparent as I
Yeah.
can. Because I'm a very closed off private person. I don't reveal a whole
Oh
lot.
wow.
I'm confident within my sexuality.
Hmm.
I love it.
Right.
I love my femininity. I love my womaninity. I love everything, my curves, everything. So yeah, you're gonna get a little side, you're gonna get a little back, you're gonna get a little breast, you're gonna get a little bit of all these
Right.
things that make me sexy. Because again, at one point in my life, I didn't see it at
Mm.
all. So I'm not trying to put myself out there like that, but I'm just trying to let you know, be confident with who you are.
Right.
Live, walk, and love everything that God has given you. God is giving you hips, embrace them. If God is giving you brown eyes, embrace it. If God is giving you, whatever it is on you that makes you feel good about yourself, embrace it.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a balance.
So how how have you applied that to your life? Because I know there are some people, and I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. There are some people who say, okay, that sounds good, that sounds nice, but how do you do it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do it? You know what I'm saying? So, like, how have you applied that to your life? Like, can you give us like a situation that was like difficult in your life, but you was like, you know what? I'm going to make the choice to look at it this way instead of normally this way. Like, could you give us a scenario, possibly, if you're comfortable?
How would I apply this to life? I've encountered some sort of prejudice in certain establishments. I remember I went to one place, I think it was an eye doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and the receptionists were just very off. They were very shady. And my mom could tell.
Mm-hmm.
We read the room.
Right.
And I'm like, wait. But my doctor, my normal eye doctor that I go to, he was just full of love and welcomeness and care.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, you know what? God is going to fight that battle because I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to cause a scene. If it was T.S. Madison going in there, it would have been a completely different scenario because we know Maddie doesn't care. If it was
Okay.
somebody like Jaguar, they will let you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want to do it so bad. It's the Scorpio is in me. You know, when you have that angel on your shoulder and that dove.
Hell
I said,
yeah.
I'm going to be the angel.
Right. Right. Okay.
So God bless you. But my mom wanted to. She's a Libra.
Mm.
So we already know how it is with these type of zodiac signs. My mom will let you have it. But I try not to. I try to keep myself
Right.
composed. But there are some moments where people will try to get you out of that. But with these two receptionists, they were black receptionists. They suffering from some internalized transphobia.
Mm.
And my mom says, that's discrimination. I said, I didn't see it. I didn't want to put a name on it just yet. But my mom called it out. And we know that if our mom calls it out, something's
Yeah.
wrong with
Or
that
someone
person. So
outside
you
can
know
count
what?
it out. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've encountered. I don't really open up and tell personal, but
Understandable.
this is transparency so that people can understand that it's not easy walking, being either trans or in the LGBTQ community, gay, whatever. It's not easy. It's not a field day in the park.
Right. And that's why I want to do, and I do this with everybody. I can't I can't have people give unto me without me giving unto them. That's the spirit that I'm in now. Um, I
Yeah.
appreciate you, and I want to take this moment to give you your roses. I appreciate you, even though this live. When you talk about professional, baby, I was hit up in the middle of summer, and she was like, "We doing this in towards the winter." I said, "Okay, already planned." We see the professionalism, we see the drive, we see the ambition, we see the queen energy just radiating within you, and I want to be able to take the time while I'm here to pour into you. Thank you so much for what you have done. Your experience in the world, despite the personal things that you don't want to share, which I understand, but I am thankful that you at least did. That's what people need to do. They need to be more vulnerable and be more honest. Because there are people in the world who are going to be able to affirm parts in you that may be hard to affirm sometimes because of the outside experience of what you're going through. But you are a pioneer. You are a trailblazer. You are literally being the change you want to be in the world. And you are not waiting for someone else to do it for you. You said, no, fuck it, I'm going to do it for me. And because you're doing that, because you have love in your heart, even though according to the world, you're supposed to be the deviant, you're supposed to be the fucked up one, you're the one that's supposed to be all this stuff, you are exuding what I feel and what I call Christ energy. See, everybody want to be God, but they don't want to be Christ. And didn't it say in the scriptures that in order to get to the Father, you have to go through Christ first, and that's love. And that's the hardest part for people to do, which is to love. Christ went to the people that were not loved and said, nope, y'all hoes lying. Look, love right here. Boom, boom. And such miraculous things happen because there are some people who are hurting, who want to heal, who want to grow, who want to understand. There are women out there, parents out there now, they have trans children that literally want to understand their kids, but they're scared. They're scared about the possibility of their children going to hell because of religion. They're scared because of what people are going to think about them as a parent, that they failed somewhere. But because you are sharing your experience, it gives people hope that the story doesn't have to end like that. So thank you for all that you've done. I thank you for what you're doing. And I'm going to say right now, I'm grateful for everything that you're going to do because you have a mandate on your life. And just keep walking. Just keep walking. And I hope that you receive everything that you want, need, and desire, and then some. I just felt it in my spirit. I just had to do that. I'm shut up now.
Thank you. No, let me read some of these comments. Yes, Miss Stevie. Thank you, Jay Evans. Lady J says, I've never heard of her before, but she does seem to have a sweet spirit. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I had to keep it professional that day. I had to try to, not professional to the point where it's like business savvy, but when you're in a place, you don't want to cause a scene. And I understand that. I don't even really care too much for respectability.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you disrespect me, I believe that everybody has some right to call
Yeah.
you out on your BS
Check it.
and hold you accountable. So at this point, I say, you know what? I don't want them calling, the jelly beans, POLICE on me. So no, I I am trying to be just put on a happy
Right.
face and God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Now my mom took care of it. My mom said, you know what? Yeah, God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wanted to get out of character as well too. And that's any of our parents. So I had to share that story because I know there are people in the LGBTQ community who are going to face that, not just because of this, but because you're living, walking, and breathing, and exuding in your truth. And people can't. So they will find something to pick out and say, okay, we're going to discriminate on this person because of this.
Right. Ooh, this was good. This was good. Thank you so much.
It was heavy talking on some of these things, and I hope a lot of people, this helped a lot of people. This is a great, maybe you really enjoying the conversation. Let me read what my paternal says. He lying, LOL. She is ratchet and hood. I'm just joking.
Look, sometimes you got to do it. Just I don't want to, but if I get pushed, don't be mad. I'm just saying, because even Christ flipped over tables now. Come on.
I'm a Scorpio, so I have a little fire to me, and I haven't had to tap into that in a while. I'm like Lady J said, I'm a real sweet person. I'm a kind person. Like I literally would give someone the shirt off of their back, and if someone calls me for advice, I'll be there to talk to them and let them know what it is. What do you know? What do you think about this type of person? But yeah, I think we inherit some sort of our parents within us. So my mom's a Libra, and that sassy side comes from her. So you might see me. I haven't really had to get out of character with anybody, but I try to keep it professional. I'm just like,
right.
I could tell,
Control your own peace. Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is such a great conversation with you. Got to do this again.
Yes.
So, are there any thoughts, because you're always giving something on manifestation and chakra on your channel, and what advice would you give concluding this interview to people out here who are struggling with sexual identity, who are struggling with walking, breathing in their truth,
Mm-hmm.
or mental health, whatever that may be. Because 2022 has been a hell of a
Yeah.
wild ride.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have expected to still be here. None of us would,
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
everything that's going on from the midterms, the election, and we've seen what happened January 6th. I'm not even going to
Mm-hmm.
get into
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say that was a mess.
Yes. Yes.
So, what are some words of encouragement that you would like to leave people back?
Let's see. How am I hit this with the end? um, I know we've talked about loving ourselves and self love and you know all this other type of stuff. We've talked about this, but I think now is the time to actually learn how to apply it to your life. And you're going to have so many opportunities because we're living in a fearful world now. People fear what they don't understand. They hate what they fear. They try to control it. And what they can't control, they attack it. So understand that you're going to have moments in your life where you're going to feel like that. But those are the times when you can actually put into application loving yourself, choosing something different than how you normally would choose something. That's when you find your power. Because we live in a world now where there are people who are powerless trying to tear each other's identity down and expressions down in order to feel something about themselves. They're going to do it to you. Even in the narrative of the Bible, they did it to Christ. They murdered him. They did these things to him, but he always had the last laugh because he had control over himself. So learn to love yourself. Know that you're worthy in the midst of being confused, in the midst of being angry, in the midst of being scared. It's okay to feel those things, but love yourself through it and understand in the moments where you feel like you're really weak and you can't move on, open yourself up. There are people in the world who are willing to help you, who are willing to stand in the gap for you until you get to a place where you can learn to love yourself and stand on your own foundation. You are always covered. Everything in the world, no matter what, past experience, present, future, everything is working for your good. It requires your belief. God is in the one place that we have not been taught that he was in, which is in us. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and everything shall be added unto you. It's in you. It's in you. So I hope that inspired. I hope.
All right, and you said you're going live tonight at 8:30, so let everyone know where they can follow you and subscribe to your channel. Of course, I'll tag you when I upload and
Oh yes,
everything.
thank you, thank you. You can follow me on YouTube, Bubs the God. Everything is Bubs the God. I will be going live tonight at 8:30 p.m. To speak about an issue from a different viewpoint of blackness that a lot of black people. There are so many different intersections of blackness, and again, talking about the division of how systematic racism continues to play us against each other. I'm going to be using
Yeah,
Candace Owens and an individual by the name of Ron Vugata as kind of like the conduits for this conversation. We're going to be going all over the place. We're going to be time jumping like we Doctor Strange. We're going to go from the past to the present to explain how systematic racism is still happening and the effects that it's doing to us. So it's going to be an all around accountability outside of us and in house. It's going to be a different type of conversation. So hopefully you guys can come through and check that out.
I definitely will be there because I have my notifications
Yes, I'm so,
on.
and I want you to talk. I want you to light it up in the chat. However you feel it. I want it to be a place where we can really have the difficult conversations, even with people who are in opposition of us. It's time to practice love.
Different
It's
opinions.
time to practice love.
Yeah,
Bring them in so we can understand each other because there is a common root. And the powers that be that control systematic racism don't want that to happen. They want us to continue to fight. We are the people. We have to make the change. And I just want to be able to help people realize how powerful they are. Yes.
absolutely. All right, fashion dolls. The big announcement that you guys have been waiting for. I posted about it yesterday. Me and my girl Tina Marie are going to be going live this Friday to give you guys some holiday gift ideas. Now
Ooh.
we know the Bath and Body Works had the 395 sale, and me and my girl Tina Marie both went and racked up.
Ooh.
So we're going to be giving you guys some holiday gift ideas. Tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern And 4 p.m. we have actor Bjorn Backman. He is going to be here as well too. So make sure you guys tune into that. And head on over and make sure you guys also subscribe to Bubs to
Thank
God.
you.
Tune in for this conversation tonight at 8:30. Please go subscribe to his channel. And this interview will be up. And make sure you guys head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie
Yes.
Daytime on YouTube.
Yes.
I love you all, fashion dolls, and we will see you guys Friday. And you guys have a safe and blessed Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
You're so welcome. Take care.